Oh, sorry, the song just ended. How you doing, Abigail?
I'm doing great, Arden. How are you?
Good. Did you appreciate the polka, the Finnish folk song?
Yes, it was very festive.
Very festive. Sorry, it ended so quickly. I accidentally hit pause instead. We are actually, hi everyone. Welcome to We Are a Crotchety Old Man,
And a woman.
the podcast for you, with you, and sometimes even about you. And we're actually taking that to heart right now because guess what? It's our 75th anniversary show. Woo! Woo!
That
Abigail's like,
sounds that sounds like it's impossible.
who would have believed this after all the confusion with the first two episodes way back when? Um, and because we have our listener from Helsinki in Finland, I decided to play some a Finnish folk song, and we're also going to do some true and false about Finland. But it's the day after Thanksgiving. It's November 29th. See, I remembered it this time. And do you know what day it is?
Um, no, just the day after Thanksgiving.
It's National Sinkie Day. I have never
Sinky
heard.
Day.
Yeah, Sinkie Day. I've never heard of it. So what it is, it's National Day to eat over the sink. You're supposed to take your leftovers and their containers and eat over the sink, and then you just drop the containers in the sink and then wash them when you're done. No
So
plate.
is this something from another country?
No, national. So it's the United States. It was on, there is a National Food Day calendar for those who really want to know.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Grandma. The
Nice.
turkey dinner we had yesterday was fantastic.
You know what? It was a group effort, and Grandma once again busted it out. You know, she's 88 years old, and she just dominates the kitchen like she would be like the Shaquille O'Neal of Grandma in the kitchen, just dominating. You can't stop her.
Yeah, everything came out wonderful.
It was good. It was good. We did not practice Sinky Day. We actually did sit at a table and had napkins and the whole nine yards because we thought that was fun. Um, Getting into history. Are you ready?
Yes, Arden.
1929. Explorer Richard Byrd flies over the South Pole. Now,
Really? Because
yeah,
on the drive up here, you mentioned something about the South Pole.
I did. So on my bucket list, which I'm just kind of creating in my own head, I've always wanted to go to the South Pole. I've been to the hottest place that I could think of on Earth, which was Death Valley. And I've driven through like Arizona and the desert, and it was 130 degrees. It was ridiculous. I want to go to one of the coldest places on Earth, and Antarctica is one of them. I can hang out with the penguins. That
Yeah, well, I think you'll be doing that trip solo.
You're not going to come out with me and wear giant burkas, not burkas, giant
Is
things.
is there a Marriott there?
No, in fact, I don't even know if you legally can go there on your own. I don't know. I don't know. I just remember seeing, even though I know you hate the British, but I remember when Prince Harry was still a cool guy. He went there, and I was like, that sounds like fun. Is there anything on your bucket list that you would want to do or
You
go?
know,
Or
I've never really thought about it that hard, but as I mentioned in the car ride when you talked about Antarctica, I said I would love to go to Iceland.
That's okay. That's beautiful. Like that, I would love to do too.
With the hot springs and the lights, or whatever they're called.
Yeah,
And
the
I heard
Northern
it's not a
Lights,
long flight, but
and
I can't say that for certain.
I don't know. I just know that there's always seems to be an active volcano there. But
Well, you need to get a passport.
I have a passport; it's just expired. I
Then
can't.
that means, Arden, that means you do not have a passport if it's
I know.
expired.
I know, but I can get one. It's not that big a deal. I needed that to try to sneak my way into Canada because I was an undocumented American going into Canada back then. But that's a whole other story. Now back to some history. 1942, America had a coffee rationing that began. Can you
Wow.
can
You
you
wouldn't have
imagine?
done that well.
I would fail. In fact, right now I am not because we didn't mention we're still in New Jersey right now at Grandma's, and I am not having my basic basement coffee. I'm kind of going through withdrawal, so I'm having Grandma's brand Grandma coffee, which I think is Folgers. Mm,
There's nothing wrong with Folgers.
it's okay. It's not basement coffee, but then again, what is? Nothing's better. Um, more history for you. 1972, Pong was released. 1972.
From Atari.
Originally, it wasn't the Atari. It was its own standalone. It was a giant arcade game originally, back when pinball was still being played all over the place.
Wow.
Atari,
I see. I was only 1 years old.
and you weren't playing. You didn't have a little paddle.
No, but I remember playing Pong on the Atari.
That was years later. I actually, believe it or not, I had a system called Video X. Sounds a little scary there, but and it had Pong. It had it had different versions of Pong, and that came out, believe it or not, before the Atari. It came out probably like 1979. Atari didn't come out till like 81, I think, something like that. But
What were your favorite Atari games? Let's see. Didn't they have King Kong?
oh,
Um,
Donkey Kong. Oh, that was that
Donkey Kong.
that was
They had
ColecoVision.
Space Invaders.
Space Invaders. We had. We didn't have a color TV. So we had an Atari, and I only played it on a black and white TV. And it wasn't until I went to years later, going to someone else's house and played it on a color TV. I went, wow. I liked Berserk. I hated the Pac-Man on Atari. I liked a lot of the silly games like Battleship that they had, the Activision games like Freeway, which was a version of Frogger. My brother, who's not a video game player, was awesome at asteroids. Believe it or not.
I remember that.
Do you remember Pitfall? That was
No.
Pitfall was a game when Activision, which is not Atari, when they put out their games, if you did a certain thing in them, like if you finished the game and took a picture of it and sent it in, you can get a patch. That would, and I finished Pitfall without dying, but I didn't get a patch because I didn't send the picture in. I don't know why. Yeah, my sister probably would have said, "Yeah, I got all these patches for every game. I could have been a cool guy with patches." Yeah, not really. And I just remember, and then a couple years later, while I was thinking I was the man with Atari, Daniel got the Intellivision, which was so much better. But yeah, butthead, so mean. Anyway, so that was national this day in history. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because I don't have my basement coffee right now. So did you want to do the true or false, or did you want to, or get into some miscellaneous questions about our 75th anniversary? What would you like to do?
I think we go with true and false.
Okay, staying on the Finland uh, idea and theme, I wanted to. I'm going to give you 5 questions about Finland and one
Oh,
bonus question.
brother. I,
Are you
I
ready?
don't know much about Finland.
Well, you're going to know a lot more. And because our Finnish, I'm sorry, I don't even know what the abbreviation
Is
is.
it
Or
Finland?
Finn. Are they Finn? Finger what?
Finlandler.
Findler. A fiddler. I think it's just Finn, actually. Anyway, so you ready? True or
Yes,
false?
I am.
The Finns have the highest consumption of both milk and coffee per person.
True.
That is true. So they drink the more milk and coffee. So they understand basement coffee. True or false? The celebration of National Failure Day is recognized by the government on October 13th. National Failure Day.
Wow. I mean, is suicide a big deal there?
Uh, I don't know. That was not something
I mean, if they're celebrating National Failure Day,
because, and there's a
I would
reason.
suspect that a lot of people kill themselves on that day.
I would actually say it's the exact opposite, and I'll explain why. But is that true or false?
False.
The answer is true. And they have a belief that failure and if you address failure, you will become better because you're going to try harder next time.
Well, I
Num-
bet if I Google it, it's probably a high suicide day.
well, it might be. That's we're
But
not having.
I can be pretty dark. So
You really did. You might need some basement coffee. True or false? Uh, Finland has one of the lowest educational scores in all of Europe.
false.
That is correct. In fact, they have usually the highest educational scores. Number 4, true or false? Speeding fines are based on income.
Hmm. I'm gonna go with true.
That is true. And so the more money you make, if you get a speeding fine, the more money you pay. That's unbelievable. At number
That's
5,
almost as bad as the highway usage fee in Virginia.
right. And that highway, because you are using a more powerful car, but driving, and I have a piece of crap car, and I don't have to pay that fine. Anywho, number 5, Helsinki is the world's northmost capital. Oh, it's a tough question.
True.
That is actually false. You were just talking about the place. Reykjavik in Iceland is the most north capital in the world. Which is, I wouldn't, is Greenland its own country? Does Greenland have a capital? I don't know. Anyway,
Uh,
bonus question. Are you ready?
mm-hmm.
Broadband internet is a legal basic right in Finland.
They obviously seem to be a little liberal, so I'm gonna go with true.
That is true. It's a basic human right for them that every single person is granted free internet access if they don't have it. That shocked me when I read that. It's just weird, just so weird. Anyway, um, before I go into I just something that caught my eye in the news before I go into our 75th anniversary. Did you see anything? I saw nothing about it today about UFOs flying over Washington, D.C. And
Well, I've been entertained by grandma on weekends, so I did not see the news.
weirdest thing. So both the New York Post and MSNBC have run stories on this. So this isn't some far out thing I saw on Twitter. These are real events that they have videos of just these lights. Now, the people at the White House have said, oh, it's not real. It's reflections off of these other like light posts. But the videos are clearly not reflections. They're showing the light posts and saying, no, these are not light posts. This is real in the sky. And then they kind of move and they pop up and disappear. Like, do you believe in UFOs? Do you believe in aliens? Not
No, I
EVs,
do
not
not.
crossing the border. You don't?
I do not.
Oh, really? You don't believe that there's little green men or lizard people?
I do not.
Ah, see, I actually do. I think we went over this in another podcast, but like I think it's kind of crazy that like there's just too many weird things out there. Like who was it that talked to us recently about their bucket list of wanting to go to Machu Picchu? Is that your brother or your? Who wanted to go to Machu Picchu?
I don't know.
It was just recently someone said that they wanted to go there. Like, how was that built if it wasn't for aliens? I mean, the whole stories of Atlantis had to start somewhere besides
Hmm.
Plato. Plato wrote about Atlantis, but nothing, huh? Not a UFO fan. All right.
Nope.
Well, let's go into something more important. Our 75th anniversary. Let's see how well. And by the way, Grandma did not want to take part in this, but we're in New Jersey right now. So, how many states have we done our podcast from? And I say states. So, Washington, D.C. is not a state. So, that one doesn't count, but we were there.
I'm going to go with four.
Okay. Can you name them?
Well, obviously, Virginia,
Correct.
North Carolina,
Correct.
New Jersey,
Correct. And now the hard one. Kind of a trick question.
Delaware,
No,
last week's episode, or 2 weeks ago, or last week.
very, very close. It was actually Maryland. You are right. We drove through. We didn't start the podcast. We were talking about it, but we didn't start it until we actually entered Maryland.
You have no proof of that.
Yeah, I just my brother, Mr. Fun, who's in the car with me.
Maybe he could vouch for you, but you have no proof.
Well, because if it was Maryland, it would be. If it was Delaware, it would be Delaware and Maryland, because you drive through Delaware in like 10 minutes, and we had podcast is over 35
I'm
minutes.
I'm still protesting that one, but okay.
Yeah. Well, here's a tough one. How many cities in Virginia did we do it in? I
Well,
now
we did it in Sterling, we did it in Centerville.
there's one more that I can think of. It's not that we did it one time, and one time at band camp. Not an easy one.
yeah,
It was
so
almost forgetful. I think it was kind of towards the end of this summer.
the end of this summer.
Hmm. We went to a place for a weekend, not even a weekend, for one night to get away.
I don't remember. Tell me.
Tyson's, McLean. Remember we went to the Marriott. We went to the hotel. So
That's
we
right.
saw Reagan.
Yes, I remember now.
Yeah, that was
Yes, I
pretty.
remember now.
Got it. Got it. So another thing. So going back to the podcasts, the Ask Abigail segment. We were going to do Ask Abigail political stuff again, but I wanted to go into the podcast. What? And this is tough. What was your favorite, best part of a podcast, and the worst podcast moment?
Okay, I can tell you when the first few times you did Ask Abigail, I really enjoyed it
No, you're
because
not
you
like it.
caught me, off guard, and it usually fired me up,
Right? You're
and I
you
thought
usually
it was
would go
pretty
crazy.
funny in many cases.
Right.
Because my goal on this show is to try to make people laugh.
With your dry, rapier wit.
So I guess if I had to narrow it down,
Hmm.
um, one of the funniest things that I said, but I was being dead serious, was when we were talking about the cocaine being found in the White House. I had said that Kamala, should take a hit.
Yep.
And I said a little bit more than that. And you were so paranoid that the Secret Service was going to come knocking on our door. You edited out what I really said.
That's the only time we've edited out any content of the
Well,
show.
I guess I should be grateful that you saved me from the Secret Service.
Right, because they would come knocking at your door because you were basically saying she should have done. By the way, it's possible she did do the cocaine after all of the drunken videos she seems to take, as it seems. What was it?
Uh,
So, do you have a favorite moment besides like the original? Any others?
Well, I think a humorous moment that somebody made fun of me was when my brother was on back then I would do a segment about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark and her performance, and um we ended up getting down to wanting to talk to him about conspiracies.
Right,
This was right after the first attempt on President Trump's life.
right, right.
And my brother, just out of the blue, said, "You lost me at the WNBA statement." And I was like, he teed that shit up well in advance, but it was funny.
We definitely have stopped talking about sports, and now that Caitlin Clark stopped playing, look at that! Like we in the World Series, barely mentioned Caitlin Clark drove our sports. She really did.
Well, what can I say? Do you want to know the most irritating part of the podcast for me?
I'm a little scared to hear this, but okay,
It is about you, Arden.
nice.
When you try to make this hooty tooty talk,
Hooty tooty talk.
yeah.
What's hooty tooty talk?
When you try to sound like you're upper class,
The voice or me pretending that I'm something I'm not.
the voice.
Oh, I like that voice. Yeah.
Oh, see, I can't stand that.
Okay, well, too bad. Too
You're
bad.
doing it again.
It just comes naturally because I have to deal with people like Mr. N. All these New
I
York
mean, I
City
have to
people I
always
grew
put
up with.
wave my hand when you're doing that to tell you to stop.
Well, yeah, good thing Grandma doesn't have that problem living in this area.
I don't know. How about you? Do you have any good and bad episodes you'd like
Yeah,
to
yeah.
recap?
There's a couple. There was the one where we were going to have someone in our it was one of your friends. They were going to be on it, and they got drunk. They told us it was just a bad episode. It's actually one of our lowest rated episodes. It just didn't work out, and we really just winged the entire show from scratch. It was kind of early on. It may have been like one of our first ones.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt. The worst one was, and this is embarrassing because it was a simple error. We did an entire podcast. It was late. I
Oh,
was tired.
I
And
forgot
then when
about that.
Arden went to do his thing to convert it and all that, we realized he forgot to plug the microphone in to the laptop. And I thought to myself, well, that's just tough shit. But no, he
No,
insisted we had to do the podcast all over
and
again.
it actually sounded better the second time, but still, we
It
did an
was
entire
brutal.
we did an entire podcast.
That was just brutal.
Oh, I mean but the best. It was one of the worst, but also the best was the very first episode. I don't even know what we talked about the first episode. It was one of the best because that's when Abigail just stepped up entirely. Because originally it was supposed to be three guys, and we were going to be just crotchety old men. In fact, we have T-shirts and business cards for crotchety. That's why our email is wearecrotchetyoldmen@gmail.com. It was going to be three people, and my two friends backed out at the last moment, and bam, Abigail just jumped in like a real trooper. So it was both the worst and the best. Dang it, Daniel, Arden, you know, Alfred. Alfred did say he wants to be on the show though. So
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna get him. Mr. Fun is gonna call us once in a while. We're not doing it tonight just because it's a rare Friday that we're doing this, and we're in New Jersey. So we're gonna have Mr. Fun. Daniel is gonna join us again. Alfred's gonna join us. Mr. N keeps reaching out to me. He wants to do it again. But hold on, let me do his voice again. Oh, okay. Did you have anything else that you want to go over or anything?
Well, I thought you had your favorite episode,
Well, my favorite. That's why my favorite was that one. But there's been some one. You know what was really fun? The second annual Joe Shire Balls tournament. The end of that one, where we had an entire crowd of people. I mean, there was like 6 or 7 people there that we did the show for, and we were interviewing the champions. And Alfred was there, and people were just chiming in. Alfred's wife was chiming in. People were just, it was great. That was one of the most fun. That was in North Carolina. Um, yeah, but in 25 episodes, so almost half a year away. So what will that be like? Late May? Late May, I think. We're gonna be. Oh no, because we still have all December. So it will be earlier May. We're gonna have our 100th anniversary. What are we gonna do for that one? We should have pie and cake.
Well, one thing about us being our age is if we ever do get married, we'll never hit 100th anniversary.
You never know with modern science.
Well, I don't think we'll hit the 50th.
Right. Well, on my bucket list, then I better not go to Mars because it takes 6 months to go to Mars, 6 months back. Yeah. So I guess I got to cross that one off. That's never gonna happen.
Wow, you seem to be like a little daredevil to do something like that.
Well, that's mostly for history. Can you imagine being the first woman on Mars, or the first person on Mars? Like
Hmm.
for the rest of human civilization, you'll be known as the first on Mars. Like that'd be awesome. Like you'll be long dead,
I
but
guess.
it'll be on your tombstone. There'll be high schools named after
Yeah,
you.
and your tombstone could exist very rapidly when the shuttle blows up.
Wow, you're a negative Nelly.
It's called Rioville, Arden.
Hey, eventually we are going to get there. Elon Musk said we are getting there. And Trump is actually that's part of his administration that he wants us to get on the path to getting there. I'm excited. Hey, we've gotten to the moon. We got to keep going. Yeah. So anyway, I'd like to thank everyone who has been on. Hold on. Let me be lame here. I'd like to thank everyone who has been on this, and I would like everyone who joined us for today and tomorrow. Was that lame enough?
Yes, it was. I just want to say that Thanksgiving was wonderful, but now we're heading into the my favorite time of the year.
Kwanzaa?
And I'm gonna be watching a lot of Hallmark movies, which are just wonderful.
And I only watched a couple parts of it. We didn't actually have one today. I
Well,
thought we were going to watch alone.
and then Arden told me that Apple TV still carries the Peanuts Christmas show.
Yes, yes, I saw it the
And
other day.
thanks to my brother, I got Apple TV last year. So I'm
And
pretty excited. Not only do I get to see it, but I can watch it at my own pace. I don't have to wait for ABC to play it one night of the year, and that's it.
right.
I
Well,
mean, when Linus gives that speech, it's just heartwarming.
it's heartwarming now. As a kid, I thought it was lame. I thought it was so nerdy.
Oh,
But now it's awesome. It's beautiful.
it's totally awesome.
Yup, totally.
How about the claymation one with the big blizzard guy?
The big blizzard guy, you mean the Bumble Snowman?
I
That
don't
was
know.
that was
He was
Rudolph. Oh, you mean the Cold Miser?
I guess so.
With Cold Miser and Heat Miser. By the way, Alfred and I could easily be Cold Miser and Heat Miser very easily. If you haven't watched
Really?
it, Raskin and Bass. That was not a year without a Santa Claus. It was a year without a Santa Claus. That was one of the
Really?
best. But yeah, so anyway, you can follow us on Twitter. It would be great if you did. Thank you to our friends in Helsinki. Drop us a line on Twitter at crotchety old men, at crotchety old men. Uh, and Abigail, thanks for 75. And let's do another 75.
All right, Arden.
Have a
Okay, good
wonderful
night,
evening.
everyone.
Good night. Bye bye.